Hey, today I'm making a video on how I got a job working in fashion, more so how I got my first fashion internship with no experience working within fashion as an intern and without a degree specifically in that field. So today I'm also going to do my makeup and then talk a lot about tips I have on how you can accomplish your own dream if that's something you want, or if you just want to watch me do my makeup, that's also fine. A video on how I got a job working in fashion, just like with no experience, and then how I got one specifically working in New York City. A second video more on things I would recommend, like skills to learn. I'm just gonna talk about things that I think helped me to be successful in like actually getting an internship, not like the actually doing it part, but also like probably just give you the confidence boost more likely to be like, no, you should try and do the thing if you want to do it. So first, I already have some like moisturizer on my face, so I'm gonna go in with Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. Yes, it's definitely the wrong color. So the first thing I did with fashion is I really wanted to work within design, styling, more creative side of things. And about halfway through my degree program, which I went to school for architecture, I was like, I really hate this. More so, like, I pursued architecture because I really like flowers and I like design. So the thing that was really helpful is I started volunteering my time to things. So I started volunteering with clubs at my university. One of them, the Vault, which was amazing, at UW-Madison. So they specialized in the business behind the fashion industry, so we get to go to panels and hear speakers. Anytime someone is willing to talk to you about what they do in fashion and the day-to-day and the behind the scenes, take the opportunity, just because fashion is so not the way it's listed on a job description. The other thing I did is I started offering my time in things I was interested in relating to fashion. So I assisted with styling for photo shoots for a magazine on campus. And those were both really good things. So I would say any way you can volunteer, whether that's like volunteering for a charity gala, volunteering to be a model in a fashion show, and getting to see some of the behind the scenes for some events. Starting with volunteering, that would be my first thing, is to gain experience as a volunteer. The second is to build skills, especially skills relevant to where you might actually want to work in fashion. So like, for example, going to school for architecture, I was exposed to a lot of rendering, Photoshop, Illustrator, technical skills, modeling, design in general. And I was fortunate enough to be able to take a couple classes related to fashion before I graduated. And the thing that I found, at least within my specific program, is Illustrator and Photoshop were not like, as this is hourglass, we're not as stressed as like different parts of the process. And you'll find that with a lot of schools, that some schools focus on very specific items within fashion. So I would say pick what you like and get skilled at it. I ended up purchasing Photoshop and I spent literally like an hour a day on it every single day for probably a year to get really good at it, which not only does it help you get positions in fashion, it also will help you once you're in it to actually have the skills that you say you have on your resume. So volunteering, acquiring skills, and like honing in on what skills you want to focus on that are going to be relevant to what you want to work in. Like if you want to be a buyer, you should know Excel, and find ways to demonstrate that you understand those things. Is kind of the like last part where those two come together, because like you could take one of those courses where it's like, I know Excel, and it basically all it does is say prove that you went to class. But then the other thing I would tell you to do is make a portfolio or presentation, or literally anything relevant to what you want to go in. So if you wanted to go into design, it's making a design portfolio, so showing clothing design ideas, tech packs, learning from things like YouTube on how to make that. If you want to go into the marketing side of fashion, it's making your own marketing campaigns, making something. You don't ever want to apply for something within fashion if you don't have relevant experience or a degree without something that says, here's why you should pick me. And the thing with that, why it's also really valuable, is you'll likely get feedback from people as you apply for jobs why it's bad. And I think that negative feedback is what really helped me the most to pursuing fashion. And I would tell you it's also going to help you have a backbone for when you work in it, because not everybody is nice. And that's kind of just unfortunately a reality, and you have to learn how to take rejection really well. Because I will also say, be ready to apply for more jobs than you think you are going to need to. And to be writing really compelling things. Like if you really want something, you should be writing a cover letter as to why you transitioned and make it a story and explain why you're doing this and how you're going to be valuable. And that this is not some spur of a moment you're randomly applying to that job on LinkedIn. That's a lot of what they want to see, is that you're actually committed and you know what field within fashion you're committed to and why. This was hard. I think a lot of that is because in like their opinion, you're kind of a risk when there's so many people who passionately want to pursue fashion, and here's this person who doesn't have experience. Really being able to talk about why you want to do this and why you don't want to do something else that you're even more qualified to do is going to be really key. But overall, getting really, really good at rejection and okay with the fact that you're probably not going to get the first one you apply to. And part of why I wanted to talk about it is because I think it looks like everything else, that it was really easy on paper. Like, oh, you graduated, you got this job, you got this internship. I applied for probably over 1,500 internships working in fashion in New York, Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, anywhere I could, for probably over about a solid year before I got any success. And it wasn't just like, oh, I applied on LinkedIn. It was cold DMs on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I would DM stylists on Facebook. I would write cover letters, get into retail stores with a resume. I would do so many things. And it took doing all of that to get really good, to get my very, very first one, which I got my first internship working in fashion in Chicago. And after I did that, I better understood what made me stand out. One of the things I definitely think was the skills. Another thing that I was explicitly told is where I went to school helped. So utilizing an alumni network, if you have it, is going to also help you a ton. And most places have been pretty transparent on that sometimes I am hired because of that reason. And the other thing that people have been really transparent about, especially more in New York, which is a lot more, people say it's mean, and I would say it's more genuine, whether that's good or bad, is your appearance. You should look like you know fashion. And if you're applying to work at a quiet luxury fashion job and you show up in, if you showed up in what I'm wearing, this might be fine, probably not, but like baggy jeans, I would not wear that to an interview to work at a quiet luxury or a Laura Piana or a Dior. They all have their own kind of vibes, and there's a reasoning for those vibes. So knowing the company that you're working for and tailoring it is also going to be key, because even within fashion itself, if you want to work fashion design or wholesale, even within luxury itself, there's going to be so many types of luxuries and people's opinions on what luxury means that you're going to kind of have to tailor it. Like even the way you present yourself, like your LinkedIn picture, you kind of want to look like you can handle yourself and belong in those environments, which is why appearance is relevant. And it doesn't mean you need to have a dramatic glow up. A lot of fashion jobs I found, at least in New York, prefer less makeup more than more. But but it does mean that you have to understand that you are part of a team of people that is selling something that does have to do with outer beauty. It's like in The Devil Wears Prada, where he's like, yes, because this is a multi-billion-dollar industry based on what's inside. It's not. And if that's something you're okay with, then you could really enjoy working in fashion. And if it's something that you find starts to bother you, there might be ways within fashion where you can find a space for yourself, but it's also going to be really hard. So appearance definitely does matter, and anyone who tells you that your appearance isn't working in fashion is probably just being polite. And of that, so does your personality, of how do you, especially if you're working for anything related to selling to people like retail, the way that you speak is going to dictate what kind of company you're going to be able to work with. But I will say, if you feel called and you're like, I should work in fashion, I really like it, and I've always liked it, and it's just something that like I really want to pursue and I want to get into, then I would tell you that you should just go for it, because all of the rejections that you get are likely just going to help you better understand it long term. I will say my really best hack that I have for you, which I don't even want to share because it's good and it's helped me land a lot of things, it's like going to company pages and they have like an info about email, like info at insert company name blank. I would reach out to that, or sometimes if it's like a showroom or working with clients and they have to actively check that little box where it says like send a message to us, they're gonna actually check when you reach out to them. Don't just reach out. What you should do is look up when is the last time they hired people. So when did they last hire? So let's say like they consistently the past 3 years have hired someone in November. Reach out to them in October or late September and like cold email, DM, whatever someone through that like info thing. And the most likely thing that they will do is say, hey, we saw you reached out. We're gonna put you up. We aren't hiring right now, but we have interviews that are gonna happen in October for November. So we'll just put you on the list for interviews. Then when they do post the job position, it's more likely that you're going to get it. And it's more likely you're going to get it because you're no longer competing with like 120 applicants or whatever it is now, or everyone else applying to those roles. You're now already at the first line. You've already been considered for interviews, and if you don't get it, I would tell you it's because something wasn't aligned in the things I talked about already. Either your skills weren't aligned, your personality didn't fit what they were looking for, and that is probably going to be the place where you get the most feedback because they were already willing to take you in for an interview, which means they're more likely going to give you honest feedback if you listen for it. To be like, hey, you don't have enough experience in this. And then on top of that, the last thing I will say, I had someone for a luxury company in Chicago I really wanted to work for at the time, and they initially rejected me for a role, but she rejected me through email. So I reached out again on email and said, hey, I really am interested in working here. Is there anything I can do? And she was like, nope, you're just like not qualified enough for this. And I was like, well, seeing as though, so I emailed back basically saying, I saw that you usually, kind of called her out. I was kind of like, I saw that you usually take like a week to respond and you always talk about being really busy. I would love to help you be less busy and come in even like once or twice a week or for events if you ever need help, willing to volunteer to gain more experience, because this is a company I'd really like to work for and this is a role I'd really like to be in. They not only considered me, they actually offered me the position because I did that. They offered it to me over somebody else. And that is why I'm telling you the biggest thing you need to work in fashion is going to come down to being very personable, looking the part, and then also having a ton of persistence. And that will never go away. Because even now, I have experience working in fashion. I've worked for sample sales, I've worked for big deals of brands, I have skills, I know how to use Photoshop and Illustrator and Excel and all these different tools. It's still a hard job market, and it's always going to be hard, and you're always going to need to know somebody, or you're going to need to put yourself out there in really unique ways that are also really authentic to who you are. And that is when you'll really start to see success into getting the kind of positions that you're looking for. So that is my advice. I hope this helps somebody to get a role in fashion. I should probably actually do my hair, but I really just wanted to make this video. I didn't want to focus too much on the makeup just because I wanted to make sure I was hitting my talking points. Those are the things I would recommend if you want to work in fashion. I believe in you and your ability to be successful. Use LinkedIn a ton and connect with random ass people. They might connect with you back. You'd be really surprised how many do. And that's helpful too. And if you just keep being scrappy but presentable, you will get there. So thank you so much for watching. Comment and let me know if you find something in fashion. Feel free to DM me also if you ever want input or advice, or you're like, does my resume look the way it should for this? I can give you my input on what I think works. And I wish you all the best of success.